If you're a beginning public speaker, it's easier to improve your public speaking skills if you understand its fundamental building blocks. If you don't understand them, it can take you longer to improve your skills, or it can take you longer to improve a speech that you may be creating. My name is Aaron Beverly, world champion of public speaking and your public speaking mentor. And this will be the first of many videos that I will be creating covering the fundamentals and basic principles of public speaking. In today's video, we are going to be covering the 7 elements of public speaking, how you can use this knowledge to improve your ability to make more compelling presentations, and also learn why some speeches may be more well received than others. At any point, if you get any value from this content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, share this with somebody who you think can use this knowledge. Now, the first element is the situation. What is the need of having this presentation in the first place? In my personal opinion, the situation is what makes a speech historic, great, or just another random speech that you gave on a Tuesday. Now, to clarify the situation for yourself and your presentations in the future, here are some questions that you need to ask. What are the stakes? Are they high stakes or are they low stakes? What's the occasion? Saying a few words at a funeral is definitely going to be a much different occasion than saying a few words at a wedding, depending on the wedding. Also, consider the timing of the presentation. Is it going to be in the afternoon? Is it going to be in the morning? Or is it going to be at night? Is it going to be before food is served or is it going to be after food is served? These different factors can play a huge role in the presentation. So you want to make sure that you understand the situation that you're speaking in. Element number 2 is the speaker. And you may be saying to yourself, answering the question of who is the speaker is fairly easy because you are the speaker. But even if that part's easy to answer, I don't want you to think about this from your perspective. Instead, when you think about the element of the speaker, I want you to think about the speaker from the audience's perspective. What you should do for this element is put yourself in the audience's shoes and answer the question of who is the speaker more philosophically. I want for you to answer the question that they may have in their minds. For example, what qualifies you to speak about this topic to this audience or at this event? Or what experiences do you have that you can share with this audience that's going to help them? At the end of the day, anyone who hears your presentation outside of your mother, who would love absolutely anything that you do because she's your mom, anybody else though, they are interested in one thing and one thing only. What's in it for me or with them? And as a speaker, one of the answers to with them is the experience that you are bringing to the table. If you're not able to think of any clear answers to what experience you can bring or what knowledge you can share, then you're going to have a pretty tough time giving any value or making any impact on your audiences. Because not only does answering this question help you craft a stronger message, which is actually the next element that we're going to be talking about, but it can also help you limit communication interference, which is element number 7 that we'll get to later in the video. Now, perhaps the most important element in public speaking is the message. This is what you want to give to the audience in your presentation. This is basically your gift to them. This is one of the answers to with them. But if you want to have a clear message, you need to understand your speech's purpose. Now, we'll cover speech purpose in a later fundamental video, but to summarize now, what you want to think about are these questions when it comes to purpose. 1, what is the general purpose of your presentation? Is it to inform? Is it to persuade? Or is it to entertain? Next, what is the specific purpose of your presentation or your speech? This one you want to try to keep to about 1 or 2 sentences. Next, what is the central idea of your speech? And this is a sentence that is basically going to be summarizing how you're going to achieve your specific purpose. Next is something that I call DTOKS. It's an acronym, DTOKS. And this stands for what do you want your audience to do, think, or know? It is my do, think, or know summary, and this one should be 10 words or less. You're going to answer the question what you want your audience to either do, think, or know. By answering these questions, you're going to be able to better focus your intention to the audience. And speaking of audience, the next element relates exactly to them. The next element is the listener. And the listener is important because if you don't have somebody to listen to your message, then there's really no point in you speaking. To really apply this element, you really want to follow KYA, knowing your audience. You want to get as much information about your audience as you possibly can. What are the demographics of your audience? Are they mostly male? Are they mostly female? Or are they a mix? Are they of similar backgrounds or are they of different backgrounds? Do they have different cultures or do they have the same culture? Do they work in the same place? This information and more is what you want to learn about your audience before you speak to them. I've said it once and I will say it again, that if you don't know your audience, you can completely fail a presentation before you even write a word, simply because you prepared for the wrong audience. The next element is feedback. Feedback is the visual or verbal cues that your audience is giving to you as you are speaking. Feedback can be in the form of an audible reaction like laughter or a gasp, or it can be physical like leaning in or smiling. Now, one thing that I will say is that feedback can sometimes be deceptive and subjective. So since this is a beginning fundamental video, I don't want for you to think about how to apply live feedback as you're getting it. Instead, I want you to think more about the directive feedback. Directive feedback comes in the form of an evaluation, a critique, or a review. And to get this feedback, it's going to be good for you to find some people who will give you unbiased feedback as you give your presentations so that you can improve it in the future. And then as you get more experience, then you can start to learn how to apply feedback that you may be getting live as it's happening. But just remember that feedback is absolutely critical for you to improve your presentations. Element number 6 is the channel. And the channel in a broad sense is the medium that you're going to be using to get across your message to your audience. And the mediums used for speaking over the last several years have changed significantly. For instance, in addition to thinking about speaking on a physical stage, we also now have to think about the possibility of speaking virtually. And maybe in the future, we have to think about speaking in the metaverse. However, regardless of the physical medium that you're going to be using, you're usually always going to be relying on audio, visuals, or some combination of the two. To help your presentations, try to understand what mediums you're going to be using as a part of your channel. Will it be a physical stage, or will it be virtual, or will it be on television? Then what you can do is think about how your presentation will differ if it is used on this certain medium. Perfect example is if you are speaking virtually. If you're speaking virtually, you're going to have to give eye contact a different way than you normally would if you were speaking to a physical audience. And that's because when you speak virtually, eye contact is perceived through looking at the camera lens, not looking at the faces that may be on your Zoom conference call. Also consider what visuals will work best with this medium. There are certain visuals that can work really great when you're sitting in front of a camera that wouldn't work as great if you were standing on a stage with an audience that can be sitting far in the back. Also think about with your visuals, can you use slides? And what way can you get those slides in front of your audience so that they can properly see them? Make sure to know your medium before you get up and speak. And the last element is interference. And interference is exactly what it sounds like. It is anything that happens when you are speaking that is going to prevent you from communicating properly to your audience or your audience providing feedback to you. Now, there are different types of interference. First, there's external interference, which is any interference in the physical environment that is causing a distraction. This can be caused by a cell phone ringing or somebody being disruptive in the audience, or it can be the wait staff clearing tables as you're speaking. Now, a lot of external interference can happen because you don't understand the nuances of the medium or the channel that you are using. However, sometimes external interference just happens and there is no way that you can 100% avoid all interruptions that are caused by external interference. As the saying goes, stuff happens. However, what you can almost completely eliminate are any of the distractions that you as the speaker create yourself. Now, when the speaker causes the interference, that is called speaker-generated interference. For instance, if you're wearing something that's inappropriate or ill-fitting, or if you're the type of speaker who likes to put their hands in their pockets and jiggle their keys or the coins in their pocket, or you're the type of speaker that just moves back and forth without any rhyme or reason, and it becomes a distraction to the audience. Or maybe you have a nervous tic, like nervous laughter, that becomes distracting as you do it over and over and over again in your presentation. The good thing about speaker-generated interference is that you can eliminate it, if not immediately, at least in the future when you create a future presentation. However, the last type of interference is a bit trickier because it doesn't really involve you personally. The last type of interference is internal interference. And this is when the audience member is just internally distracted. For instance, somebody could be daydreaming, or they could be worried about something that happened the night before. There could be various reasons why somebody in your audience may be distracted from you. And unfortunately, like with external interference, you cannot completely eliminate this. But one thing that you can do to mitigate it is by making sure that your presentations are more engaging so that you can keep them engaged mentally as you are speaking. Now, as a takeaway for you, I have a quick task. Think about your next potential speaking opportunity. And I want you to also think about all 7 of these elements and how they may apply to that presentation. And then let me know if these concepts helped you better prepare for your presentation. Lastly, do remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time.